Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Paul Kagame said, "We have made many speeches in the recent past. We have to get down to do the work that is entailed in the statements we have made to our people." The umbrella body for genocide survivors, Ibuka, in Rubavu district, has called upon more efforts in mobilizing young people to combat genocide ideology and denial. The priest of Wales planted a tree at Dumfries house in memory of victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Now the news in detail. President Paul Kagame arrived in Nairobi, Kenya this morning to attend the signing ceremony hosted by President Uhuru Kenyatta and attended by President Museveni and President Tshisekedi, who has just signed the Treaty of Accession, making the DRC the 7th member of the East African Community. President Paul Kagame called on the East African Community heads of states to get down to do the work that is entailed in the statements they had made to their people.
Excellencies, President Uhuru Kenyatta, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and President Felix Tshisekedi Chilombo. The main duty has been performed between President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Tshisekedi. Ours was to witness and welcome the signing of DRC being integrated in our East African community, and we are just here to do that. But our leaders have already spoken. I just be brief by saying that, Your Excellencies, we have made very many speeches in our years in the recent past and beyond. I think we just have to get down to do the work that is entailed in the statements we have made to our people of our individual countries, as well as the East African community. And I am with you all the way to achieving the objectives of the deeper and wider integration of our community. So thank you, President, for inviting us to be here. And thank you, the people of Kenya, for hosting us and with the warm hospitality we have been accorded. Thank you very much.
President Felix Tshisekedi assured the community of his country's commitment to the East African community, adding that DRC will play its part in making the region stronger and more prosperous. The commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi has played a big role in healing genocide-induced trauma, despite the fact that during the commemoration period, the survivors relived the memories of 28 years ago. This was revealed by Dr. Sumta Muhaisa, the Executive Director for Memory and Genocide Prevention at the Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement, Minubunge. During the commemoration period, survivors are able to share their testimonies, and this helps in the healing process. It has restored the hearts of those who used to live with trauma, and this also triggered others to seek help to avoid various mental health diseases, said Muhaisa, who is also a clinical psychologist. She was speaking during a night vigil known as Umugoroba Ukwibuka on April 7th, which was this year held virtually in line with the measures to prevent the spread of the COVID-19. The night is normally held at the stadium, but this year it was aired on national television and different radio stations in the country. The panel discussion focused on the measures to fight trauma and healing genocide wounds. Ejide Nkuranga, the president of Ibuka, the umbrella organization for genocide survivors, pointed out that trauma-related topics had to be a priority during the commemorating period to ensure the survivors' trauma continues to heal. During commemoration, the number of trauma tend to rise because before this period, most of the survivors are busy with their everyday activities. But April is always a nightmare to them, and therefore such discussions strengthen them and make some to speak up. This is part of healing, he said. In addition, he said that apart from gaining strength and comfort, such talks are to activate those in need to seek professional mental health support. Nedi Umudisa Rangwa, the deputy chairperson of Rwanda We Want, a youth-led organization, said that even the children who were born after the genocide were affected to the extent some get trauma. She revealed that her NGO is running different programs to help the youth deal with the impact of the genocide on mental health. Yvonne Kaite Shonga, Mental Health Division Manager at Rwanda Biomedical Center, said that people who are most affected by genocide are the survivors, saying there are many sources of trauma going by experiences many had during the genocide. What they went through during the genocide has affected them mentally, and some live with such issues for life whenever nothing is done for them, she said. Explaining why some survivors do not speak out, she revealed that it is caused by how people were treated before and after genocide during their healing process. She said that in order to help them heal, they have made it a priority and deployed mental health specialists to all hospitals, among other measures.
No human touch.
The umbrella body for genocide survivors, Ibuka, in Rubavu district, has called upon more efforts in mobilizing young people to combat genocide ideology and denial as Rwanda marks the 28th commemoration of the genocide against Tutsi. The commemoration was on April 7th, marked at the district level at Mount Muhungwe in Rubavu, where thousands of Tutsis were killed during the genocide in 1994. Speaking on behalf of families who lost their loved ones at this hill, Jared Barushimana, the head of Ibuka in Rubavu, said there are still people with hate and genocide ideology. We strongly condemn those who still spread hate and genocide ideology. They are present both in Rwanda and outside the country, especially using social media. Adding, we ask the district to put more efforts in mobilizing the youth to join the fight against this toxic ideology. We also ask the genocide survivors are not discouraged and held back by those evil acts. Senator Mary Rose Mureshanwano, who was the guest of our, also stressed that youth need to learn from history written by Rwandans so as to know the truth of what happened and also use the power of social media to disseminate it. Mureshanwano also spoke about rumors and people who spread lies on social media, calling upon youth to fight against it and genocide denial. There are a lot of rumors on social media, mainly from people outside the country. Avoid such. I also urge the youth whose parents participated in the genocide and are still held captive of the bad past we went through to challenge them using available information. The youth present at the event committed to put more effort in seeking information on what happened during the genocide to be able to counter such narratives. We use social media too, just like those people who spread hate. We must therefore use it constructively, said Edison Njiruwonsanga, a youth coordinator in Kanama sector. Statement by His Excellency Dr. Ron Adam, Ambassador of the State of Israel to Rwanda, on the 28th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Today marks the 28th commemoration of one of the worst atrocities in human history, the genocide against the Tutsi, that claimed more than 1 million lives in just 100 days. The State of Israel expresses solidarity with the government of Rwanda and her people as we remember these innocent lives. As a Jew and a second generation of Holocaust survivor, I understand how it feels like to be deprived of basic rights, harassed, tortured and killed just because of your identity, which none of us chooses. This horrific past that we share reminds us the immeasurable adverse effects of ideologies of division, hate and extremism that are still present in our world today. To make never again a reality and prevent the repetition of massacres anywhere in the world, we must collectively respond to the call of acknowledging and respecting ethnic, cultural and religious differences and jointly work towards a peaceful and tolerant world. On this note, I would like to commend the government of Rwanda and its people for the resilience, courage and resolve to building a united, peaceful, stable and prosperous country which now serves as a model worldwide just 28 years post the genocide. As I conclude, my thoughts and prayers are with the Rwandan people, most notably the survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi, as you mourn your loved ones. Let us continue to remember, unite and renew. No humankind should have to go through genocide, says Providence Umugwaneza, a survivor of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Umugwaneza made the remarks at an event held by the African Union in commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. After giving her testimony, Umugwaneza called on the world to stand together in the fight against genocide denial.
No humankind should have to go through genocide, and that is the reason why I stand up with other fellow survivors. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, remembrance in the fight against the genocide denial is not for Rwandans only or genocide survivors alone. It is for everyone and everywhere in the world. Genocide denial tarnishes the memories of those we loved and lost. It seeks to minimize the pain and horror they endured. Genocide denial tries to erase the lives they led and revise history. It hurts us, survivors, deeply, but we shall never stop speaking the truth. Please join us always in ensuring the memory of genocide against the Tutsi is preserved and protected. You may ask yourself the reason why it matters today, after 28 years, and what to remember means. The answer is simple. We remember to educate for peace and promote tolerance, inspiring good character and leadership in our children's everyday lives to lead to more empathy and love. It is possible to positively impact our community, neighborhood, school, church, and strangers. More importantly, it is possible to ensure that genocide never happens again, anywhere in the world.
Moving on ahead, Ambassador Clever Gatete joined faculty and students of Columbia University's School of International and Public Affairs for the 28th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. He shared with them Rwanda's post-genocide reconstruction and reconciliation journey. The Prince of Wales planted a tree at Dumfries House in memory of victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Prince Charles was joined by former Rwandan international football player and genocide survivor Eric Murangwa Eugene. Also present was the chair of the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust, Laura Marks, and chief executive of the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust, Olivia Marks Waldman. Canadian lawmaker Ariela Kayabaga has paid tribute to victims and saluted the resilience of survivors of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi during a parliamentary session that took place on April 7th. The Member of Parliament for London West said this as the rest of the world joined Rwanda to commemorate the 1994 genocide against Tutsi that claimed more than 1 million lives for the 28th time. In her address, she said, "For Rwandans watching this today, I want you to know that the world sees you and the world recognizes your resilience and your willingness to rebuild and walk the path of reconciliation."
28 years ago today, more than 1 million people died in the genocide against Tutsis in Rwanda. And to this the world said, never again. Never again, but yet again the world is dealing with the consequences of not seeing each other's humanity. The Rwandans watching this today from my riding in London West and across Canada, I want you to know that the world sees you and the world recognizes your resilience and your willingness to rebuild and to walk the path of reconciliation no matter how hard it is and how hard it has been. You've chosen healing and rebuilding. Mr. Speaker, as I speak before you today, 82 million people have been forcibly displaced across the world. The Ukrainian and Afghanistan crises alone have created respectively 6.3 million refugees. I want all of us to reflect on these numbers. It's our job as leaders to carry the never again words in our actions to ensure that the next generation of Rwandans, of Tutsis across the world, do not have to face another moment to invoke these words. On behalf of all Rwandans who are no longer with us today, on behalf of the children and families, including my own, who have been forever changed by what happened during the cold nights of April 1994, I say to you, never again. I ask you, Mr. Speaker, and the rest of this House, to stand with me in a moment of silence for the voices that will never speak again. Let us commit to never sit in silence and always use our voices and actions to fight against hatred and discriminations of all kinds. Twibuke, twiyubaka.
The 28th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi is happening at a time when Kigali is pursuing genocide suspects hiding around the world. The country's genocide fugitive tracking unit intensified efforts to see suspects arrested and sent to Rwanda for trial, or have their host countries take them to court for justice or to be served. The Embassy of Rwanda in China also on Thursday, April 7th, held a commemoration activity to honor the over 1 million people killed 20 years ago during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The commemoration event was attended by officials from the Chinese government, diplomats accredited to Beijing, representatives of international organizations, Friends of Rwanda, and the Rwandan community in China. During the event, Ambassador James Kimonyo said that some of those who committed the genocide against the Tutsi are still at large, which he said has impeded the healing process of the genocide survivors. He added, "I therefore appeal to you as a family of global nations to honor the indictments issued by the government of Rwanda to bring the concerned suspects to justice in Rwanda, or at least in your respective jurisdictions." On the issue of genocide denial, the ambassador remarked that it is intended to destroy the memory of what happened, and if left unchecked, it could potentially form the basis of another cycle of genocide. In this respect, he also emphasized the need to enact laws against denial of the genocide against Tutsi. France and Belgium instituted these laws in their legal systems. The representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, Ambassador Wu Peng, expressed solidarity with the people of Rwanda and survivors, in particular during this period when the victims of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda are remembered and honored. Moving on ahead, an accident on Friday, April 8th, injured over 30 people in Kamonyi district. Senior Superintendent of Police, René Idede, the spokesperson for the Traffic and Road Safety Department, said the accident happened in an area called Wishasha in Jihinga Cell, close to Kamonyi district headquarters. A truck had a brake failure, hit 9 cars and injured many people. We have immediately deployed a team of police officers to evacuate the injured, and we will provide more details later. He said that so far no death has been recorded, adding the injured have been taken by ambulances to Kamonyi Health Center. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.